Hello YouTube, this is Duncan White bringing you another video to the TheSlamDuncan channel. Make sure you leave this video a like, subscribe to my channel for more NBA content, and also follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. And in this video, we're just going to talk about the Chicago Bulls and how the last week has been, and we're also going to go dive into the game that was just played tonight, Friday against Indiana. Thriller game. If you did not watch that game, make sure you go at least watch the highlights of that game. Awesome game to watch. Bulls did lose, but great game to watch. Before we get into any of that, though, I just want to say I'm sorry for not uploading at all during the week. I said I'll be uploading more, but unfortunately, you could probably hear my voice. I got a cold during the last Sunday, and it got better. And then it got worse, and now I'm just starting to come around. So I'm sorry about my voice, and I'm sorry for not uploading. I'm just battling this cold, and I'm trying to get through it. But anyway, I'm gonna try not to talk too much, because if I do, then I'm gonna start losing my voice. So I just want to go through really kind of three things in this video for the Bulls, and because this is just specifically a Bulls video. One is the game that just happened against the Pacers. Like I said, awesome game. 2 is the Justin Holiday trade that happened during the week. And 3 is really, like, I guess I'm going to kind of focus on Jim Boylen, or more just like the fact that how are the Bulls doing, you know? And yeah, just in general, and just kind of wrap things up there. Just kind of look at the big picture. So let's talk about the Pacers game, though. So Bulls lost, unfortunately, to the Pacers in overtime. I'm not gonna really, I really don't want to talk about like all the crazy shots that happened in that game. Just a bunch of insane shots, really, at the end of the game. For both sides, guys were just hitting threes left and right. It was insane. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch it until after the game was over. I recorded it, and so I was able to watch it, and I finished it around like 11 something. So, for the game, though, it was the first game without Justin Holiday, which I'll talk about that trade in a minute. But Chandler Hutchison started at small forward in Holiday's place, and I just want to say, like, I'm gonna go by quarter here. In this game, though, the Bulls started out very good. First quarter, great ball movement, good defense. The Bulls switched up their defense, which I'm going to talk about. But mostly in the first quarter, you just see guys just moving the ball around, getting good shots, getting good looks. Defense was on point. Guys were making the right decisions, rotating well. It was great. Bulls, I think it was like a 30-18 lead at the end of the first. Not sure about that, but something like that. But in the first quarter, Zach LaVine hitting shots left and right. He had like 17 points in the first quarter. Markkanen hit 2 straight threes to start the game. And Chris Dunn had 5 assists in the first quarter. And overall, it just looked good. I think Chandler Hutchison fits really well into the starting lineup as the small forward. Because, with Holiday's very perimeter-oriented. And while that's good for the Bulls, because the Bulls do need shooting out there, the issue with Holiday is that he's not very much of a presence going to the rim, and Hutchison's a very good slasher. And that really helped the Bulls' movement on offense. So I really liked Hutchison in the starting lineup. Unfortunately, he did not finish the game, but, we'll get into that. But there were 2 things that I really took away from the first quarter, was Chris Dunn and his fantastic point guard play. Chris Dunn had 5 assists in the first quarter, like I said, and he was really running the offense well. You could just tell that he was in charge and the captain out there and doing a great job of getting everybody involved, feeding into the hot hand, making sure everybody touches the ball, and make sure that the offense have movement. And second was the defense. So the last game against the Magic for the Bulls was very disappointing. I was very upset watching that game. I don't think I watched the entire game because I was so upset. But the Bulls' defense was horrible in the Magic game, because I guess Jim Boylen kind of realized the idea of trying to guard the pick and roll without switching is difficult unless you're going under the screen. And in this game, immediately, right out of the gate, the Bulls on every single pick and roll were switching everything. So basically, they were trying to get rid of the pick and roll, beating them. And it does two things. One, it keeps Wendell Carter Jr. out of foul trouble. That's been humongous. And Wendell Carter Jr. has done a good job in the last few games, actually, of not getting in foul trouble because he's so important to the team. And the pick and roll, instead of blitzing it or sometimes just backing off and catching everything, the Bulls switched everything. So basically, they were saying to Indiana, "All right, you got to beat us via isolation, hit the 3-ball, or beat us in the post. You're not going to beat us in the pick and roll." So that was a big thing in the first quarter that I saw, and it carried on throughout the game. Second quarter, Bulls struggled, and it was because their bench unit got in. Jabari Parker actually played in this game, and I just really want to say, I'm trying to keep this quick. Also, it shocks me how different the Bulls are without Chris Dunn running the offense, and I'm kind of interested to see how Jim Boylen kind of works his rotations in the future, because I think maybe Chris Dunn might need to lead the second unit. As much as I love Arcidiacono, he cannot run the Bulls offense like Chris Dunn can, and that's the reason why I think this game, and I'll get to this at the end of the game, but Chris Dunn really showed that he is the Bulls point guard of the future, guaranteed. And obviously, there could something else could come along. I mean, if a star decides to come to Chicago, then it's different. But I don't think it's happening. And Chris Dunn, I think, is the point guard of the future for the Bulls, and I want to talk about him in this video. But second quarter, just the Bulls struggled. It really shows, though, without Hutchison now on the bench, that they really don't have a lot of depth at the wing position. They're playing basically a 3-guard set out there with Arcidiacono, Harrison, and Blakeney. So really no wing out there. And then Parker and Lopez. So I'm actually kind of interested to see what the Bulls do. Maybe when they trade Robin Lopez, if it does happen, maybe we get a better wing, a younger wing to bring in, so we can fill that gap that we're having right now. Because trading Holiday, he was playing like 40 minutes a night. So we're really kind of low at the wing position at the moment. Third quarter, again, the Bulls kind of did struggle. But in the third quarter, though, I was very surprised with how Chris Dunn, he kind of saw that, all right, offense is struggling here. No one's really hitting their shots. Ball movement's it's getting a little stagnant, but I mean, they were still, running the same sets and everything. But Chris Dunn was like, all right, I got everybody involved. Let me get this offense going again. And he was able to keep the Bulls in the game when Indiana was making their run. Victor Oladipo had like a 10-0 run by himself. So Chris Dunn did a fantastic job of just keeping the Bulls in the game with his own offense. And then fourth quarter was, again, it was a thriller game. Bulls, I think, did a very good job of just staying in the game. It was very tough, especially when the bench unit came in, because Domantas Sabonis was destroying us all game, especially against our second unit. But Bulls were down 6 with like 2 minutes left, and they were able to tie up the game because Zach LaVine hit 2 major threes at the end. And don't forget the clutch 3 by Chris Dunn before that. But really, in general, I want to say that in the fourth quarter, our backcourt, though, Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine, they hit clutch shots at the end of the fourth. And then going into overtime, the big three, LaVine, Dunn, and Markkanen, they all had great shots in the OT. Markkanen hit 2 straight shots coming out of overtime, and then LaVine hit some shots, and then Chris Dunn had that major dunk on Miles Turner. But basically, I want to just say, though, the stats at the end of the game, because I think this game shows, though, just what kind of future the Bulls have. So the Bulls, our leading, if this would load, there we go. Leading scorer was Zach LaVine. He had 31 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot efficiently from the field. Markkanen had 27 points, 9 rebounds. And then Chris Dunn had 16 points, career high 17 assists. Shot 6 of 9 from the field, very efficient. And then Wendell Carter Jr., the last guy, main guy of our core, had 15 points and 8 rebounds. So just those stats in general, though, just show the Bulls' future, in my opinion. And I do want to talk about, though, how, obviously we have, I think everyone knows, LaVine and Markkanen, those are our main scorers. They're already solidified as main guys already for a rebuild. And I think everyone kind of can also say that Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be part of this rebuild too. But the main thing that I've been hearing a lot about is Chris Dunn, the point guard of the future. And I saw this on Twitter a lot, and I was just kind of shocked because, people were kind of trashing Dunn's player right when he got back from injury. I'm just like, this man just didn't play for like 20 games. You got to give him some time to get, acclimated. And even during those games, I thought he played very well. This game, though, against the Pacers, it clearly shows that Chris Dunn is the point guard of the future for the Bulls. 16 points and 17 assists. 17 assists. And that just shows, though, even if he doesn't get those assists, you saw in this game that he was running the offense well, just perfect. You saw that he was getting guys, into position. He was finding the open man, always making the right play. You could also show that he was trying to, enforce his point guard play on everybody. He was telling guys, hey, go here, or hey, go here. Something that Rajon Rondo does a lot. Rondo does a lot of, he directs traffic a lot. And I saw that a lot of Chris Dunn in this game. And I hope this continues because Chris Dunn can absolutely do that. My main thing, though, is that what I keep trying to tell people for the Bulls is the Bulls don't need Chris Dunn to be a scorer. He doesn't need to average 20 points per game. He doesn't need to be, a star. I think he could be an all-star like how Draymond Green was an all-star for the Warriors if the Bulls were winning and Chris Dunn just averages only 16 points per game and around 8 assists and, let's say 6 rebounds. He's going to be one of our best defensive players and probably one of the best defensive players in the league. He's going to probably be at the top of the league in steals. He's going to defend the opponent's best perimeter player every single night. And the main thing for me, though, is that he's going to be running the offense, and when he sees it, though, that the offense is struggling, he has the ability to take over and make shots for the team. That's what I'm saying for the Bulls is everyone's trying to say Chris Dunn needs to average 20 points per game. He needs to average 10 assists a game because he needs to be that flashy point guard because apparently every single team has a flashy point guard now. While a lot of teams have a great point guard, an all-star point guard, for the Bulls, you have Zach LaVine. He's going to average 25 points per game. You have Lauri Markkanen. He's going to average 25 points per game. I mean, those are your main two scorers. Those guys need the ball. They're going to be the ones scoring for you. My thing is for Chris Dunn is that he doesn't need to be a scorer like LaVine or Markkanen. He needs to just, 1, run the offense and be a point guard. 2, play good defense. Guard the opponent's best perimeter player every single night. 3, make those shots that the team needs. If they're struggling on offense, or at the end of games, he's shown he can hit those clutch shots. Chris Dunn doesn't need to be a star, and I'm trying to tell people that Chris Dunn does not need to be that all-star or that superstar. He could probably be an all-star for the Bulls if the Bulls are winning and are at the top of the Eastern Conference in like 3 years. So I just want to say that people need to really look at what the Bulls need from Chris Dunn. I don't think people need to think that the Bulls need Chris Dunn to be a superstar. He needs to be that point guard that doesn't always need the ball to be very effective. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now. I mean, 16 points, that's exactly what I want. And 17 assists is even more than what I wanted. That's awesome from Chris Dunn. And then he can guard Victor Oladipo. That's also one of the biggest things that the Bulls need is so that Zach LaVine doesn't have to guard the opponent's best perimeter player. Chris Dunn can do that for him. So I just wanted to say that people need to really think of what the Bulls need from Chris Dunn. I think the Bulls know that Chris Dunn is going to be the captain out there, but he's not going to be going out getting 30 points. He's going to be the one out there doing anything that the team needs him to do. So that's that. All right, moving on. Justin Holiday. He is now a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. So we got ourselves a trade, and let me just say I was very happy from the trade itself. There's another move related to it that I want to talk about, but the trade itself, Justin Holiday is going to the Grizzlies for Marshawn Brooks, who's expected to be moved very quickly or get waived. Wade Seldom, if I'm saying that right. He looks like a young guard that has some potential, but I'm not really sure about that. I don't know anything about him, so I had to go look him up. We got 2 second-round picks though, which I was shocked by. 2019 and 2020, both are Memphis's picks, but I was shocked that we got 2 second-round picks for Justin Holiday and more. I was thinking, all right, we're probably gonna trade Holiday. We're probably gonna get a player who's okay, probably in his mid to late 20s. Probably getting a decent amount of money, but the team's gonna throw in a second rounder just to make for a sweetener, so they could just get that contract off their books. We got a young player. We also got Marshawn Brooks, but that doesn't really matter. It's Wayne Selden, by the way. But we got 2 second-round picks. I was expecting at max 1 second-round pick for Holiday, and I was thinking like maybe we get none, but we got 2 second-round picks, and I was shocked by it. I was happy. I just want to say I want to thank Justin for his services. He was great. But man, I was shocked by the trade, and want to say good job to Garpax. They did a great job making that trade. But the sweetener to this entire trade was the fact that the Bulls had to make a move because they had too many players on the roster, so they had to get rid of somebody. And the Chicago Bulls finally cut Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne was waived, and oh my goodness, that was the best part, I think, from that trade deal. It was just get Cameron Payne off the roster. He's gone. Don't have to worry about him anymore, and I'm just extremely happy. I don't have to worry about watching Cameron Payne make stupid decisions anymore for the Chicago Bulls. So, and I know it's kind of me hating on him, but one, it was a horrible move by the front office to begin with. You traded Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott for him, basically, and that was just a horrible move. And I think it was, I'm not sure who labeled him as the point guard of the future, but clearly that's Chris Dunn now. But whoever said that, it was stupid. It may have been Paxson. But either way, it was a horrible move. And then now he is gone. So he's officially off the Chicago Bulls, and I'm so happy. Because now I don't have to watch him anymore. To be honest, that was probably the best part of this move, or the Holiday trade, was just that we had to waive Cameron Payne. He's gone. Woohoo! All right. I just want to say, though, that Hutchison is going to be filling in for Holiday. I think, though, with Hutchison, that Hutchison's not a great shooter yet, but he's obviously very good in open court, good slasher, good finisher. He's not really that good in the pick and roll yet, but we'll see. But I do think, though, with Hutchison, Justin Holiday was a good defender. The thing was with Holiday is that he was kind of short for the small forward position, and he was also very thin. I think he weighs less than Zach LaVine. So my issue with Holiday playing the small forward, I liked Holiday playing the 2-guard more because he was guarding shooting guards, and that was easier for him to do. But guarding small forwards was kind of difficult for him because he's kind of thin. I think he weighs about only 180. So Hutchison, though, is a bigger body. He's longer. He's taller, and he weighs more, obviously, and has more muscle. So I like Hutchison at the 3 because he can guard those small forwards. I think really Hutchison, though, can guard anybody 2 through 4. So I like Hutch. We'll see, though. I don't know if he's gonna be the starter for the future at small forward, but I think he absolutely can be if he develops a jump shot that's consistent. He has the range. It's just consistency with him. So now I kind of want to talk about just kind of overall looking at the Bulls, and hopefully I keep this video under 30 minutes. So one of the things that I kind of hit on was with Jim Boylen. It was changing the defense. Now it's a switch everything type of defense. The defense, they did decide to change it though at the end of the game. They started doing a blitz defense. Um, and here's what I kind of take away from it, because if you know me, I'm not a big fan of switching everything. I think it's a horrible idea in general. The Houston Rockets did it last year, and it was very effective, obviously. And the thing is, it's not very effective this year though. I think the Bulls can do it. I think the Bulls can actually switch everything. On ball screen, by the way, not off ball screen. Off ball screen, they don't switch, but any on ball screen they will switch. And I think the Bulls can do that because the fact that Chris Dunn is 6'4", and Wendell Carter Jr. has very good feet for a big man and is very quick. However, I still have some doubts about it, because switching everything, if you're going up against someone like Joel Embiid, for example, you do not want any guard or anybody that's 6'8" or under guarding Joel Embiid. You can double team Embiid all you want, but he can still get that shot over. So it kind of matters who you're facing, in my opinion. The Pacers do not have a dominant big man, so that's the reason why it worked, because the main objective was stopping Oladipo and his pick and roll play. In my opinion, though, here's what I kind of think about it. So switching Markkanen onto a guard in a pick and roll, I think it's okay. But it matters, again, who Markkanen is guarding. If Markkanen is guarding just a stretch four, or facing Indiana, in that case, he was guarding Thaddeus Young, that's okay, because Thaddeus Young is not a dominant big man. With Wendell Carter Jr., though, just due to the fact that centers are bigger, I don't like that idea. I think Wendell Carter Jr. is actually very good in the blitz defense. I think he is actually at his best when he blitzes on the pick and roll. So he'll come out and stop the guard from turning the corner, and then he'll run back to his guy. Hopefully, though, the defense would rotate and then have somebody be guarding two guys at once from the weak side. But I'm kind of interested to see how Boylen kind of works it, because it does, the switch everything defense does keep Wendell Carter Jr. out of foul trouble, but it also then it puts the guards in a bad position, and they expend a lot more energy. Like you could see at the end of the first quarter for the Bulls against Indiana that both Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine were just gassed. They were just out of energy because they're switching onto a big man, but then when Indiana throws the ball back out, they all have to rotate, and then that means Chris Dunn is running cross court to get to the corner man, and that's a lot of energy for any guard. So that's where I'm just kind of like, you have to kind of balance it out. In my opinion, I'm fine switching the pick and roll 1 through 4, but then with Wendell Carter Jr., I think you should blitz with him, and then hopefully rotate, and then he gets back to his man. Obviously, with Robin Lopez, you can't switch it. You have to play a catch pick and roll set. But everybody else, so I think 1 through 4, you can switch it. But then with Wendell Carter Jr., you got to blitz. That's just my opinion, though. Again, I'm not the coach. But I do think, though, overall, the Bulls look much better defensively. I think more players are aware defensively, so they know what they're gonna be doing. If they're gonna double team, if they're not gonna double team, if they're gonna help from weak side or strong side. I think overall the Bulls defense looks a lot better, and Jim Boylen has done a good job with that. Offensively, I am kind of concerned. So the one thing is that under Jim Boylen, there's a lot of just it's slower paced, and in my opinion, that's better. I was never a big fan of the whole Hoy ball thing with under Hoiberg, push pace, and get up a lot of threes. The thing is, though, with that, you can, it was basically a good shot if it was like a 2-on-1 fast break, but you shot a 3. That can't happen. And under Boylen, I think it's gotten better that if you have that, 2-on-1 fast break or 3-on-2, you get to the basket, foul, or get the layup. However, with Boylen, it's the fact that I do like to slow it down offense. I do like the idea of making teams guard you for the whole 24-second shot clock, and making teams guard not just the first, second, or third action, but the fourth, fifth, and sixth action. However, there are times where I see like, hey, you should probably push pace here because it's a 5-on-4 at the moment. But Boylen would say slow it down. Let's set up our offense, and it allows the fifth guy to come back into the play. That's where I'm like a little. I really just don't like where Boylen kind of makes that decision, but overall, I think Boylen's done a good job. However, I do think that the start of games needs to be addressed. But I mean, against Indiana, they did a good job. So hopefully that continues at the start of the game. Overall, though, for the Bulls, so I want to talk about what the Bulls kind of need and then look at the draft also. So, like I said before, Markkanen, LaVine, their main objectives is to score. LaVine, obviously, perimeter. Markkanen can hit the three-point shot, put the ball on the deck, and also post play. I think Markkanen needs to get more touches in the post, but I think that will come in time. Chris Dunn is your best defender, the captain on the team, your point guard. He's going to get everybody involved, but it can also take over the game when necessary. And he's going to do everything the team needs him to do, whether that's score, rebounds, assists, steals, whatever it is, he will do it. Wendell Carter Jr., he's the key to the Bulls' defense. He's, very mobile big, very active big. Even though he's kind of undersized, he can still go up against the best bigs, get rebounds, box guys out. Can hit the three-point shot, good mid-range shooter. And again, I want him in the post more. He has a good post-up game, and I want to see the Bulls do that more. I like it when the Bulls play inside out. Now it comes down to the small forward position for the Bulls. They need to find that. I think Hutchison has a chance. However, I'll talk about the small forward position in a second when I talk about the draft. The bench, though. I'm kind of interested to see what the Bulls do this upcoming offseason because the bench clearly needs help. Especially even just when Chris Dunn went out the game. And there was a time when LaVine was kind of leading the second unit in the fourth quarter with no other starters with him. That unit struggled. It clearly shows that when Chris Dunn goes out the game, the offense has issues. And also defensively, they have issues because Chris Dunn's one of their best defenders. As much as I love Arcidiacono, he doesn't turn the ball over and all that. He can't really run the offense like Chris Dunn, and he can't get his own shot like Chris Dunn. So I think what the Bulls really need to figure out is, can they find a shot maker off the bench? I think they want Antonio Blakeney to be that, but I really don't like that idea at the moment because Blakeney still hasn't learned, if his number is called, it's not for you to score, it's for the team to score. He needs to understand that. He needs to learn how to be a facilitator for me to allow him to play extended minutes and be not just a shot maker, but a shot creator off the bench because the Bulls really need that right now. And I like Shaquille Harrison, but again, because he's not an offensive player. He's a defensive player. And he finished the game for the Bulls in OT, and obviously, his presence out there defensively really helps, but then offensively it shrinks the floor. So, if he can find a consistent jump shot, then I would love to have him off the bench, but we have to see. And like I said before, we need another wing off the bench to play that small forward position because Hutchison's now starting. Obviously, Bobby Portis off the bench is going to be humongous, in my opinion. He's going to be that, that big man who can score for you. So when Markkanen comes out the game, if you put in Portis, then I don't see much drop off because Portis can still post up. He can hit the three, mid range, pick and pop, pick and roll. He's going to be a very important piece off the bench. And I like him playing at center more than power forward, but we'll see about that. But the bench does need some work, and I'm just kind of thinking like main thing is point guard. I love Archie, but there are many other point guards you could go out and get. this is a stretch, but I'm just kind of saying this. Derrick Rose is on a 1-year contract, minimum for the Timberwolves, and he's had a fantastic year so far. He's a candidate for 6th man of the year, in my opinion. And I would love to, the way he's playing. I am shocked at how he's reinvented his game. But, if he would love to come back to the Bulls, hey, man, I would really love that, to have him play behind Chris Dunn. But, again, at the stretch because the front office traded him. But who knows? Chicago love. I would love to have Derrick Rose back. But that's a humongous stretch. I don't think it's going to happen. But the Bulls need a backup point guard who can continue to run the offense like how Chris Dunn runs the offense. They also need a wing off the bench that can really find their own shot, but also be a decent defender. Now, that's what the Bulls need to kind of address. But now I want to talk about the draft, and this is where I'm kind of finish the video here. So, like I said before, if you have Levine and Markkanen, those guys already need the ball, right? So, I don't think it's a good idea to add another player that's ball dominant, in my opinion at least. If you look at, for example, the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry and KD, those guys are, they're ball dominant. They're ball dominant guys. They need the ball. However, Steph Curry and KD, they also don't need the ball to be effective. When I look at Levine and Markkanen, they need the ball. It's very important for them to have the ball, to score, to get their touches and everything like that. However, because their shooting ability, especially Markkanen, they also don't need the ball. But they're gonna be our ball dominant guys. Chris Dunn is gonna be the captain to make sure the offense is working well, but also make sure everyone gets their touches and he feeds the hot man. Chris Dunn, though, doesn't need the ball to be effective, and so that's where I think he's very important. Because if we had a ball dominant point guard, then Levine and Markkanen would have drop offs. Like that just hurts Levine and Markkanen. So that's where I think Chris Dunn is also very important because he doesn't always need the ball to be very effective for the game. So Wendell Carter Jr. is one of those players that just doesn't need the ball at all to have his effect on the game. With his defense and his rebounding, and his ability to stretch the floor and also play the post, great versatile game. So when I talk about that for the small forward position for the Bulls, so here's the thing. I don't think we're getting Zion because Zion's probably going to go number 1, and the Cavs are already worse than us. Hawks are already worse than us. Suns are already worse than us. Well, I think at least. But I don't think Zion's a realistic idea. Now, let's say we somehow do get the number 1 pick. I still don't like that idea with Zion because, one, he's a power forward, and we already have Markkanen. So there's no reason for I don't want that log jam, and in the end it just hurts both of them. So that's where my brain is with Zion. As much as I love Zion, I think he's gonna be fantastic. I don't want him and Markkanen to be at competing for minutes at power forward position. Can you play him at small forward? I completely disagree, but maybe that will change come the NBA draft. But at this moment right now, I don't think it's realistic. And even if we do get the number 1 pick, I don't think it's a good idea to place Zion at small forward. So, in my opinion, you have to look at a guy like R.J. Barrett or Cam Reddish specifically because I'm very high with Cam Reddish because of the fact that he can be that Klay Thompson type of guy who can explode at any point in the game, but also doesn't need the ball at all times to be effective. So like Klay Thompson only had to take like 17 dribbles to put up 50 points. Cam Reddish can, I think, have that same effect for the Bulls. So mainly for Cam Reddish, if he gets drafted by the Bulls, which I would love, is that he's gonna be that 3D guy, but he can also explode at any moment in the game. And it just complements everybody else on the court if you think about it. I mean, you get another defender next to Levine, you get another shooter but next to Levine who needs space to drive, and then think with next to Markkanen, like Reddish and his Cam Reddish and his slashing ability and his 3-point shot just helps Markkanen even more, especially if Markkanen plays in the post. So I'm very high with Cam Reddish, but also RJ Barrett. This league, you do need multiple ball handlers, but I think Dunn and Levine can both handle the ball perfectly fine. But RJ Barrett can also handle the ball, so it would be like a triple threat if he gets drafted by the Bulls. But my main point is, whoever the Bulls draft, I think it's gonna be a small forward, but maybe it's gonna be like a wing for the bench. But I think we're looking at our small forward position because this draft has not a lot of point guards, and really, if I remember correctly, not a lot of big men either. I mean, you have like some guys like Bol, but I don't think the Bulls are going to be going after him. But my point is, though, for the Bulls is that when you look at the draft, you need to look at a guy who's going to be able to stretch the floor, play good defense, and be effective without the ball for the Bulls. Because you already have two just nuclear weapons with Levine and Markkanen, and then Chris Dunn's like your Swiss Army knife, and Wendell Carter Jr. is your backbone that you can always rely on. So he just needs to mesh with the Bulls and at the small forward position. Now Chandler Hutchison, though, he has a chance. If he gets that 3-point shot, he can easily be the small forward for the Bulls' future. A lot of people are comparing to Scottie Pippen. Remember, Scottie Pippen was very valuable because he could handle the ball. He could also hit the 3-point shot and is one of the best defenders in the league at the time. But he also allowed Jordan to be Jordan. So, Hutch can be something like Scottie Pippen. I mean, obviously he's not going to be Scottie Pippen, but if Hutch could be something like Scottie Pippen, that would be perfect. And let me tell you, the Bulls in 4 years, man, right at the top of the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. So I want to wrap this up by saying, I think tonight against Indiana, you saw the Bulls' future. You saw that they can be great. In the next 3-4 years, they're going to be at the top. So I'm just hoping that the front office makes the right decisions, right draft picks, right moves, and the big three, or really the core four of Levine, Markkanen, Dunn, Carter Jr. is really going to lead the Bulls and their future to some great places. And I'm very excited as a Bulls fan. Like, I am so excited, and I just want to watch this team grow. I am just very excited just to see this team become hopefully a dynasty for Chicago. So I hope in this video, which I did not keep under 30 minutes, unfortunately, but I hope in this video you enjoy just me just kind of breaking down how the Bulls look for the future and how their play is right now and what they can improve on. So just hoping it's the best for Chicago, and hopefully the front office can make the right decision. So with that, though, I'm going to end this video. Want to say, though, because this video is hopefully dropping Saturday, go Bears. I'm excited that they're in the playoffs. I will be watching. I have gotten to football this year. So go Bears. I hope they make it to the Super Bowl. And I really think the Bears will absolutely destroy the Eagles. So I'll be watching Sunday. Hopefully the Bears win that game. Hopefully Khalil Mack has a great time tackling Nick Foles against the Eagles. So on that, though, this is Duncan White signing off for now.